Good afternoon. It is Monday, January 28th, 2019 at 1 p.m. and we will call the regular trustee meeting to order. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have an agenda before us. Is there any additions or modifications?
When Jan gets sick, I have a quick question actually, because you were sick. There aren't any payroll or bills to approve. Is that?
We approved 2 payrolls last trustee meeting, and then the bills, we're doing ACH payments, so they're just small routine utility ones. We'll catch those up.
I just want to double check. I knew you were sick, so I didn't want to miss anything if we needed.
Just processed a payroll, so we'll be on the next one.
Next one.
Yeah, the
Yep.
30th,
Yeah.
so we just have those. So there'll be times when you'll get 2, and then depending on your meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, so any additions or modifications? Entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved?
Second.
Ms. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Kretz?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes. We have minutes before us.
Make a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of January 14th, 2019, July 23rd, 2018, August 6th, 2018 special meeting, regular meeting minutes of August 13th, 2018, special meeting minutes of August 20th, 2018, regular meeting minutes of August 27th, 2018, regular meeting minutes of September 10th, 2018, special meeting minutes of September 10th, 2018, and regular meeting minutes of September 24th, 2018.
I'd like to make 2 corrections on those minutes. On August 13th and September 24th, I'd asked to be excused, and that was not put in the minutes. So I'd like to have an excused in there.
Sorry, we don't normally do that. I know at City Council they do, but I
Yeah,
can write
just
that in.
protocol.
We started at the last meeting.
We did.
We did do it the last meeting, and we'll continue to do that
Yeah, I
moving
think it's just
forward.
important for the record, so.
Sure.
With those changes, I have no other corrections, and I would second the motion of Mr. Kretz.
Just discussion. Ms. Ahrens, you did receive my email just with the correction on the one.
And I did
And
make
those
that.
have been incorporated?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please call.
Mr. Kretz?
Yes.
Ms. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes. No citizens desiring to speak, no old business, and we will move on to new business. Employee recognition, please. Welcome, Mr. Amrine.
Good afternoon. In the past, the announcements of the recognition, the awards and recognition banquet by the Chamber of Commerce has been our cue for the process of an internal selection of an Employee of the Year. As you probably are aware, that banquet isn't happening this year, and we are, as a committee, proceeding on our own. Decisions haven't been made yet about how such recognition will be granted, but I just wanted to let you know that the committee is meeting, and we will have a resolution naming our nominee for Employee of the Year at your next meeting. It remains to be seen whether the Chamber will include any awards recognition as part of the breakfast they're planning for March.
March 6th.
And we'll sort of take our cues from there and make a proposal as to how the township should recommend its awardee. So I just wanted to make a report to you that the committee is working on that.
Good.
Very good. Thank you.
I was hopeful that you would, regardless of what the chamber did.
Yeah. Administrator?
Thank you, Board. On page 4 of your packet begins the biweekly Sheriff's Office report. I am attending tomorrow the sergeant's meeting. They did do a promotional test for the sergeant's position, due to the proposed budget that was approved last year regarding to the sheriff's fund, about having a supervisor in our substation. So I'm meeting with the sergeants tomorrow to talk over the expectations of Beavercreek Township and what we would like to see regarding a sergeant's position. And then it is a special assignment, which means in the past, like we do with the deputies, it is a bid process through the contract with the sheriff's office, and I mean the labor contract. In this case, it's a special assignment, so it is appointed by the sheriff. I did meet with command staff last week and talked about what our expectations are with the command staff and the sheriff, and we're hoping to have a new sheriff or sergeant appointed to the substation on the 2nd, which is Saturday. So if it's the newly promoted sergeant, then they'll go to the FDO program for 1 week and then go to the substation. If it's one of the senior sergeants that is picked, then they'll start Saturday. Are there any questions on the biweekly report?
No, I had none.
I have none.
Thank you, Board. Next item is on page 19 is the Human Resource biweekly activity report. Are there any questions?
The only question I had was related to the individuals that we're interviewing. Do we have a timeline of when we would initiate making offers and when those positions would be filled by?
Well, I've already made conditional offers, and I believe under the chief's agenda, they were going to discuss the timing of the hiring
Okay.
meeting.
Okay.
So we have 11 that I made conditional offers to in the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
Right.
And have they all accepted them, or when are they due back? Okay.
They've accepted them.
Okay.
I'm working them through the process now.
Okay.
We should most likely have a hiring resolution on the 11th February, it's a regular meeting. We'll do the same thing, except since it's such a large crowd, I would recommend we do a special meeting and then host it up in the bay.
I think we did the 9th.
Mhm.
Yeah, that would be the 9th because there'll be lots of families and everything else.
Mhm.
So.
Right.
Good.
Okay, thank you.
Do you think that'll be at the next meeting, the 11th?
Correct, that's what we're shooting for.
There been any discussions with the fiscal office as far as the grant and how it's being repaid and any of the money? I've heard nothing as far as, I know we're upfronting it, but before you bring people on, I would really, there needs to be communication. We have no idea what part goes to grant, what part gets paid out of.
I know we've discussed it at staff meetings, so we can set it up different ways, so in regards to reimbursement, so we'll work that out. We did call with a question last week, obviously, but government was shut down.
Right, I just would like, think that you probably want to have that in position before you hire these people, so you know how to pay them. I mean,
But the mechanics of it, if I'm correct, are that we hire them and we're obligated to pay them 100% and then we file for reimbursement?
Correct.
Okay.
It's always gonna be us getting it back in after
Okay.
that.
But as far as the timeliness of the reimbursement, that would obviously be key to know. But I thought we had defined that, or that was
Yeah,
defined.
I thought we had a lengthy conversation about it when we compared numbers.
Yeah, that, you missed that meeting, Ms. Aarons, in regards to the discussion of the grant, how it worked and everything, so I apologize.
no, that's all right. I
Yeah.
just wanted to, it truly was because it came up. I
Sure,
thought it would, I just
sure.
want to make sure that everybody's on the same page
Yeah.
and
Yeah, we discussed it at that meeting, I'll make sure that the information's passed on.
appreciate it.
Yep.
Okay. Moving on to zoning.
Thank you, Board. Page 22 is the biweekly report for the zoning department. As you see, we do have the updated 2019 numbers as we start to see some permits coming through.
And real quick, just, I forgot to mention, back to HR, I really like the biweekly report, the chart you added, Ms. Gustafson. Just, I like that, keep that in there. Sorry, Mr. Rosari.
No, that's okay. Are there any questions for zoning?
One question I had on the revenue projection, based on, and you highlighted it, Mr. Amrine, with regards to the cycle of when essentially a true valuation assessment goes on the property, on new construction, especially in the unincorporated portion, it can take a two-year lag. So in reality, even though we're projecting a downturn, we're projecting most likely a downturn in revenue generation, but not in revenue collection. I assume because in 19 we'd be collecting with our 2017 spike.
Right,
Okay.
exactly.
So we should actually be realizing a spike in revenue this year, even
As-
though we
as-
made the downturn is actually 2 years out.
Right, and there will be a concomitant upturn in commercial construction, it looks like in the unincorporated areas of Beavercreek Township. It hasn't happened since I've been here that we've issued 3 already commercial construction,
No.
commercial zoning permits
Been nice projects.
already this year, and with at least 3 more in the pipeline.
So I know your projections are channeled to the schools.
Yes.
But in reality, like I said, the collection should spike this year as opposed to have any downturn. Does your information, and how does it translate from a revenue to fire or anyone else? Are they using this model or are they using a collection model?
Well,
Because this would be what it would generate.
yeah, we see a greater spike in regards to what we usually forecast. So we go off what the auditor sends us, and our projections are a little higher, and then the auditor's projections are a little lower. So they come in,
Okay.
we're usually really close in regards to revenue projections. We're seeing about a 1% statistically growth in revenue each year. So we may see that spike where we did 142 homes in 2017. We might see that spike starting this year.
Right.
Plus, also, we still have to go back. We go back to the auditor's office and ask them, are these numbers still good? Should we adjust these numbers? There's also we should see an increase with the reevaluation of the property tax as well. So for residential property, it's residential's turn this time.
Yeah, I meet annually with the auditor to go over the charts and make sure that we're using reasonable estimates, but ultimately they are estimates. There's some assumptions that we're making here. And the schools are aware that my projections are limited to a single taxing district within the school district, which has pieces of at least, 4 other tax districts within the school district, including one in Montgomery County. So this is hardly a complete picture for schools' revenue projections, but it represents the most active taxing district within the unincorporated area of Beavercreek Township.
The only other comment, and I don't know if you have the resources or the time to do it, I witnessed it on commercial real estate in the township, in the unincorporated portion of the township, where a new construction project actually went over beyond 4 years before it was taxed correctly.
Okay.
And so, and I had a whole conversation with the auditor about it, and they corrected the situation. There was an oversight
Oh, okay.
on the county's part.
So it wasn't a normal lag in the appraisal process or anything like, okay.
And so I don't know if you do any reconciliation.
Currently, we don't.
With regards to 2 years ago, we had 142 homes built, or whatever the number was. Did all of those hit the record this year? I don't know if we as a township do any reconciliation, maybe fiscal, but with the county to verify that we're actually picking up all those.
Seems to me I might make such a reconciliation a part of that annual sit-down with the auditor to make sure. Yeah,
In a commercial setting, it created such a disadvantage competitive nature-wise that's why
Right.
it was brought to our attention. But
Exactly.
in this situation,
Mhm.
if we're relying upon a projection and there's no reconciliation to make sure we actually got it,
Right,
then she has.
good point. Okay, I'll add that to the agenda for a meeting with the auditor.
Also on page 27 in your packet, I know it's at the end of the agenda, but the TAC agenda is on there, and Mr. Amron did attend the meeting. So
Mhm.
if you have any questions on that.
Go ahead, Don.
I didn't do it.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you. Moving on to IT.
Thank you, Board. On page 28 begins the IT report. Are there any questions?
No, all outages have been fixed, everything's.
We have 24 open tickets right now. I went through, some of them are open projects as well. So the email issue that came up, I know last meeting I wasn't here, so I apologize for not passing that on to the acting township administrator, but it was a Microsoft issue after the first year that created the problem for the emails. It's not a Beavercreek Township issue. So it was something that Back to Business had to put a ticket into Microsoft to fix. And we were out maybe 3 days. It was right during the holidays, but which was good.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, all the emails just started coming in once Microsoft fixed the issue.
Probably explains that one errant email you got
That could be, yeah.
from me. Nothing further for IT, we'll move on to road.
Thank you, Board. Next item is on page 31, and the first agenda item for the road department is the 2018 highway mileage certificate. Are there any questions? Just need a signature.
If there are no questions, I make a motion to approve the 2018 mileage certificate as presented.
Second.
Ms. Wallace,
Yes.
Mr. Kretz,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts.
Yes.
Thank you, Board. Next item is on page 35 is the biweekly report. Are there any questions for the road department?
No, look like they go very busy.
Fence looks good.
Sorry, Deborah.
Thank you, Board.
A family member of one of the folks that's buried there made that comment to me over a year ago, and then was appreciative that it was replaced. So,
Thank you, Board. First item for the fire department is request to purchase 12 sets of fire gear, which then asks the question, if we're hiring 9, why 12? We do have one current vacancy that needs to be filled, and we're anticipating, we do have a letter from one employee on retirement, and we're anticipating another for retirement. Fire chief's here to answer any questions.
Good afternoon.
That would have been my question, so appreciate it.
how do you know what size to order for the people you haven't made an offer to yet?
We don't.
Okay.
So we get permission to purchase, and as soon as they are hired, the first thing that they do in orientation is get measured, so that as they complete orientation, the gear is being produced, and then it'll come back, so it's available to them to wear once they're out of orientation.
And that's their new fitted
Correct.
option. Their second option is out of,
We'll take anything out of stock that we have, although that's dwindling, so we will likely be back for up to 12 additional sets before the end of the year for their second set of gear. And all of that is part of the cost that we had planned on and have talked about in the past as far as hiring new employees. So that's a known cost to hire the new employees.
Is Phoenix local as far as where are they out of?
They have an office in Dayton. I don't know if they are a Dayton company. I think they are, but I'm not 100% certain.
It seems we buy from them, obviously. Is it because they're the only ones that offer what we want, or because they're the best
They
price,
have had the
or-
best price for the specifications that we've had over the years. We haven't always been with Phoenix. We were with Morning Pride years and years ago, and then after Morning Pride, we were with,
Crouch?
no,
but if I
There was
remember,
another-
we're
not
getting these
James.
through David's, or David's is ordering
No.
everything
no, we go through Phoenix direct
direct.
for these, yeah. David's did uniforms, or does uniforms for us, but not fire gear.
Not fire gear.
I'll make a motion to approve purchase request 09607 to Phoenix Safety Outfitters for 12 complete sets of turnout gear in the amount of $44,015.88, and to authorize the township administrator to sign for the board.
Second.
Mr. Kretz?
Yes.
Ms. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Thank you, board. Next item is a purchase request for the annual ProQA and EMD program. Budget justification starts on page 37.
Hearing no questions, I make a motion to approve purchase request 09830 to Priority Dispatch for EMD and EFD annual maintenance and licensing in the amount of $7,200.00, and to authorize the township administrator to sign for the board.
Second, with just a quick discussion, I've asked this question, I think, every year, but I'll ask it again, is it required that we buy the maintenance agreement every year, or? And having been in the software business before, in the software maintenance agreement business, there were customers and big customers that would buy it every other year.
For EMD, it is absolutely required each year because that's what keeps the protocols current. I do not know if it is the same for EFD because we don't have the same statutory requirement for EFD as we do for EMD. Since we've done EFD, we just have gone to it, we've kept it mirrored with EMD. So I'm not sure what would happen if we let one lapse and continued the other, but we definitely have to keep EMD up.
And it generally, I mean, obviously you're typically entitled to enhancements and bug fixes.
Correct.
But it's hard to argue that someone should be charged to fix a bug.
Yeah, and for EMD, it is primarily the keeping the protocols updated, so as well as the product enhancements.
It'd be interesting to know, I don't want to know it right now, but unless you can do it off the top of your head, but as far as what the township spends annually in software maintenance and these types of agreements.
For everything, I don't know, but we could probably figure it out.
I'm confident it's high.
Yes.
Especially since a lot of softwares we're buying are going cloud-based, so.
Well, software as a service doesn't help that, but,
Right,
but you
correct.
at least get, hopefully, continual improvement out of it, and you have
That's the
cloud-based.
theory.
Yeah. Okay. So the answer is we're required on half of it, and the other half we traditionally do. We may or may not be required, but traditionally we have always kept it up.
Correct, because it's the same company and it's a sister product to the one that we are required to maintain.
Okay.
Since we have that software updates and licensing that we have to keep continuously, do we bill back to when we charge for fire services? Is that figured in the bill back process?
No, because our bill back process is limited by Medicare. I shouldn't say it. We have adopted the Medicare limits because that's what we can usually clearly and justifiably provide to the insurance companies and get reimbursed for. So we don't itemize specifically what all the costs are. So we don't have a place where we would go back and itemize this. So it's just a cost of doing business for us.
And there's no other jurisdictions that use that software?
Not our license. There are other jurisdictions, even locally, that use the same software, but they all have their own licensing. So they've paid for it themselves and they maintain it themselves.
I'm just looking at if there was any possibility of doing any kind of group. I know that you own
Yeah.
software for each entity, but
Yeah, and
It seems
unfortunately,
like
the
we
way
could-
the licensing is for this, there isn't a way to do it jointly unless we were to enter into a joint dispatch center, in which case the joint dispatch center would share that economy of scale. But we as an individual agency cannot.
So
And then,
there's 3 dispatch centers, and 2 have the ProQA. And Beavercreek Dispatch has the ProQA and the EFD. So it's a little different in each of the dispatch centers. Fairborn, I don't believe, is doing either.
I don't think they are.
Yeah.
They've talked about it, but I don't believe
Yeah.
they've.
But Xenia Green does have the software. But since we're dispatched through Beavercreek, then it's with Beavercreek Dispatch Center.
I wonder if we could enter into a discussion with these providers, or at least talk to Greene County and see if we can enter in a discussion with the providers and seeing if there's some kind of discount we can get or some kind of price we can get with the 3 entities combined, and then we split it 3 ways.
Yeah, I'll have,
It's just an idea, but,
I'll have Chief Dorston look into
you
it.
know, now that we're doing more things with other jurisdictions or the county, think it's something to at least look into. 'Cause
Certainly.
stuff gets expensive.
Yes, it does.
And then I would imagine on the Medicare side, that's an annual thing you look at to make sure that we are charging what we can.
Yes.
Get the full reimbursement for.
Matter of fact, it's actually one of the services that our EMS billing provider, whose name has changed again, and I cannot remember what it's called, unfortunately. But they let us know whenever there's an update, and we adopt that based off of their information.
Good.
And the other part of this is that with Medicare billing, that the citizens might not realize is because we only bill what Medicare would reimburse, there are other jurisdictions out there that bill more. The
Certainly.
Medicare reimburses and then the citizen has to pay
Has to
that
pay.
remainder. So
Correct.
I think it's something to note for the citizens that are listening in, to know that we just try to keep the cost affordable, and that if they have a Medicare agreement, that they would get reimbursed totally, instead of being out, paying more out of the pocket.
Correct.
I have a lot of
We've
people that complain about getting a bill from a fire department like $900, $1,200 for a pickup service, and so.
Absolutely, and we want to make sure that our citizens know that their property taxes are taking care of that difference. That's
That's
why we
correct.
do not ask them to pay any
I
additional.
think we need to remind them once in a while.
Absolutely.
And that's something that maybe we could add into with the cost of things going up
Mhm.
for seniors. Add into our In Touch some point in time under the fire,
Okay.
that, let people remember that, we could go higher costs, but
You
Absolutely,
don't-
because it does not cover the cost of providing the
I
service, it's just an
totally
offset.
understand that, yeah.
Absolutely.
No, it was the first one. that I did. It would be something too, to maybe even have a blurb on the website.
Okay. Yeah, that we can easily do.
Okay.
Still have
One more, we got one more to do?
Well, go
Ready
ahead
to
and
call
call the
the-
vote.
No,
Okay.
Call
no, my goodness.
Ms. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Kretz?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Thank you, Board.
And next is the purchase request for the annual National Cube Review Service.
And this is a service that, this is the quality control part of priority dispatch. So this is not absolutely required, it's something that is best practice, and it is something that we do. It is cost effective, we believe, for it to be done by by priority dispatch, as opposed to paying somebody to do it ourselves, but it is something that we could do internally. It's not required to be a service that is paid for. So, and I believe in the discussion, I included the estimated cost if we were to have somebody sit down and do it internally based off of the overtime cost or the hourly cost that it would take for them to accomplish that.
And this is another fact that I think that we can add in the future to an In Touch article of how we're saving money as Beavercreek Township, paying out versus having it done internally. These are just all points that we can show our citizens, if and when we go for a fire increase levy, that, we're telling them way ahead of time that here's the things that we're doing. We're not just mentioning this just because we want a levy in the future.
Yes, and actually the board's been really good about encouraging us to evaluate both options for almost all the services. So we always evaluate if it's something we're doing internally, is it something that we could contract out at a cheaper cost? Or if it's something that we're contracting out, is it something that we could do internally? So,
We see this, but the citizens usually don't get to read
That's
these
true.
finite details or bother to look, and I think it's important to show the differences, as a fact to them, so that they
Yes, ma'am.
see that we are always trying to save money for the township and the taxpayers. Hearing no other questions on this, I would make a motion to approve purchase request 09829 to Priority Dispatch for National QEMD and EFD service with analytics dashboard in the amount of $29,722.00 and to authorize the township administrator to sign for the board.
Second.
Ms. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Kretz?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Thank you, Board.
Board, the next item is fire prevention and safety grant application. Program that we were successful in the past year, so hoping to go after it again. And there's a little explanation on page 39 of your packet.
Yeah, and this is an informational only at this point. There's no action required, but we wanted to let the board know that, again, is looking at ways that we can stretch our dollars. We are pursuing this grant application, and we've as Mr. Zarif mentioned, we've been successful with this specific program in the past. In 2010, we got our first 50 Knox boxes, residential Knox boxes, and those have gone out, and they are all out currently. We do maintain an inventory of them, so we know where they're at, and as they're no longer needed, we pull them back and then send them out to the next person on the list. If we're successful in this grant, it will get us an additional 50 boxes, and it will include some smoke and carbon monoxide detectors as well. So as the crews are out there installing those, because only we can install them, it requires our master key. The crews can do a quick fire safety education with the citizens, and then make sure that their residential fire protection equipment is in good condition.
I need to know what a Knox box is.
It is a lock box, and you've probably seen them all over, not just in Beavercreek, but all over the place. They're usually most commonly seen at commercial occupancies, and oftentimes they're recessed, but you'll see the most obvious indication of them is about I don't know, 1.5 inch square red reflective decal with a K on it. The boxes are keyed to a single master key that the fire department has, and we're the only, within Beavercreek, only Beavercreek Fire has that key, and our key doesn't match any other communities. It's a very secure system, and that way the businesses can put in access keys to their business for after-hours access. So if they have an automatic alarm system, for example, he's got first-hand experience.
Oh, okay.
And so the way it's set up is we have a retention system in the apparatus, and at some point we'll be coming back and actually having to upgrade that for our system, where the keys are securely held and they alarm if the key is pulled out, so that we can, again, make sure that we don't lose track of those. But it allows the crews to get access to the facility and then re-secure the facility if we can't get a key holder there while we're on scene. So it's a property conservation measure for local businesses, and it's a quick access tool for the fire department. And so the residential Knox box that I was just discussing with the grant program allows us to extend that accessibility to individual properties. It's completely voluntary, so it's no requirement, but the program allows us, because these are very expensive boxes, because of that high security lock core, that allows us to provide them so that the individual residents don't have to go out and purchase them themselves, although that's always an opportunity. So we do have a few folks who have bought their own over the years.
And how much would residential one cost approximately?
Let's see, I'd have to do the math. It's probably about $200, I'm guessing.
Last time I had to buy one, they
$250.
were $200 to $300.
The residents are a little bit
Each
cheaper than,
jurisdiction has their own specific. So if you had if, for example, you had a client that wanted one in Montgomery County or in the city of Xenia, would potentially be different than a Beavercreek.
yeah, as a matter of fact, they would have to come to the local fire department to get the application, because there's a code for our core combination.
And those are only good for the fire, so if a
Correct.
resident would lock themselves out of the home, they couldn't get back, couldn't use that box.
That is correct.
So not for
They
fire.
could call us and we'll
Theoretically, they
come
could call
out
the
of
fire
it.
department, and someone could
But
come
then we
out.
charge for that.
No,
We don't?
no. We charge property taxes and we provide service for that, so.
And that's definitely a simpler solution. He called it, what'd you say, what's the cute word, property?
Property conservation?
In other words,
Yes.
not axing down the door.
Yes,
Yeah.
the fire department does carry a universal key. It's a pickhead axe, and we will get in if we need to, but we'd much rather do it with as little damage as possible and the ability to re-secure afterwards.
Makes sense. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So anyway, if we are successful in getting that, we will be back to the board to let you know. And at that point, we'd ask for permission to accept the grant, and then we would also have to obligate the 5% matching funds at that time.
Mhm.
Thank you, Board. Next item is the summary of the UL experiments. We did have, as you attended the Thursday meeting where it was open to the public, we had people from all sorts of states, including Michigan, who came down for their training. And we do have some updated numbers of what the impact was to our community.
So in the end, it was obviously a huge benefit, we think, not only to the fire department and the fire service, but the community. One of the big things I wanted to point out is it did become an economic development event. They spent about $95,000 locally here between restaurants, rentals, and hotels and places like that. So, including, I think, 102 Marion's Pizzas at one point. I missed that day. So.
Yeah, that was a good day. That was the fire, it was the last day, and it took a while, and they asked, we gotta get everybody dinner, because they were hoping to be done, and they said, what's the best local pizza? And so someone threw that out there, and next thing I know, UL came back with about 100 boxes of pizza.
Wow.
So we appreciate the board supporting and being able to
great event.
participate.
Great event. Yeah,
Um,
good job.
I'm sorry?
Underwriters Laboratory?
Underwriter.
Underwriters.
I wanna make sure I have that right, thank you.
Yeah, I think they go basically by UL, but Underwriters Laboratory
Okay,
is
I
the
can do
official.
UL, I just didn't know if
Yeah.
you wanted me to spell it.
That's, everything that they've given us has said UL, although if you go to the
Okay.
website, it still has the old.
We could challenge it.
Yes. Yeah. And then just for your information, they are in reviewing a site in Fairborn for possibly coming back and doing
I know
commercial.
all about it.
So it's a little close to home. But if they are back, we would probably look to try and get some crews to participate, like our neighboring agencies came and participated with us. We'd like to do the same thing to see the commercial side of it, just because it is such a different environment for us.
And we received several applications from that event too for firefighters.
I believe that was an interest generator.
Yes. Yeah, we received
I don't know if you know
applicants.
how many off the top of your head. I know we got some applicants, and we also got an explorer or two out of it as well.
Great.
And kudos to Chief Young on everything that he brought to that, and I believe he has been asked to join.
I heard that they were going to, I don't know if they've extended it, but yeah, I believe they were gonna offer him a position on the technical committee. So,
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Speaks a lot for our department. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you, board. Next item is on page 41 of your packet is the biweekly activity report. Are there any questions?
I'm done.
Just,
One specific note, on the map, it has been updated to include the Bath Township area. But as soon as we updated the map to include the Bath Township area, we did get word that Wright Pat has taken over that concurrent jurisdiction area, so that the whole Route 444 and Kaufman and Northern National Road section will be Wright Pat's primary response. I'm sure we'll assist them, we'll be called in as mutual aid, but it will drop off the map, hopefully by the next time we meet, so.
Okay.
I just had a couple comments, fire related. At the Rotary this past Friday, Alex did a good presentation as far as the state of the township, and there was actually a shout out from Hilton Garden Inn with regards to the economic impact that the UL exercise contributed to
Oh,
them.
good.
They were appreciative of that, and also I saw that Safety City is coming back again as far as a program for kids.
I had not heard that.
The city of Beavercreek was doing that, and I know in one of our several of our previous meetings, I've asked about that. I was glad to see it. I just didn't know if we were involved in that yet, and if not.
I haven't
can
heard, but that doesn't mean that it's not going on.
It was
at
a great
regular
program,
level.
so
Yeah.
if we can get back involved.
Absolutely.
My kids went through it and stop, drop, and roll, and
Mhm.
they loved it.
Yeah, I had to send my oldest kid to Fairborn because we didn't offer
Yeah.
it.
And the last thing, when we touched on it earlier, but if, at some point in the next couple months, if we can get a summarization of what we spend from a fire standpoint, but also overall, what do we spend in software maintenance on an annual basis? And even then, separate from that, from an accreditation standpoint as we go forward, you may want to, at some point, look at, is there someone internally or a part-time person that could be an accreditation or a compliance officer,
Mhm.
and look at that cost.
Yes, sir.
The trainer can be less expensive, and you have better control, but not always. So
Mhm.
just something that should be monitored, in
Yes,
my
sir.
opinion. I spent a lifetime in ISO, and it was only 6 years.
All right. Anything else from far?
That's all I had for the board for today.
Great, thanks, chief.
Thank you very much.
Moving on, legal,
Nothing right now.
Ms. Aaron's?
Nothing, thanks. MVRPC,
Meeting was canceled.
thank you. TAC, we already have the report in our packet. Regional planning, we met this past week. Stone Ridge was again on the agenda, and this time it passed with flying colors. And they were very appreciative from the letter from our administrator and from our zoning department. And other than that, it was just business as usual. So we got health, that's twice a year, right?
Sometimes, I think it's just once a year.
Okay. Administrator and superintendent?
We haven't had a formal meeting, however, we're at a lot of meetings together. The recent meeting that superintendent, city manager, and myself attended was the facilities meeting, which is made up of community leaders, PTO presidents, PTO presidents, yes. Principals from the schools, and actually some of the private schools also in our community. We are looking at, options for the schools in regards to facilities, and taking input from the surveys that have been put out to the citizens and to the parents of the schools. We're taking that information, putting it all together, and putting some additional recommendations on top. First meeting was very interesting. They do have a consultant running it, did an excellent job. Next meeting we have, we're actually going to put dollars to some of the ideas that came from the community, and ultimately it will go to the school board on what direction they go in regards to the schools' facilities within our jurisdiction.
Wonderful, thank you.
And no meeting for the right pad.
Okay, Township Association,
We are hosting the next meeting in February. It will be co-hosted with Ohio University. I will be meeting with them tomorrow on other issues, our projects, but they will make a presentation on what's happening on OU's campus here in Beavercreek Township.
The date and time on that, just to confirm.
Normally they start at 6:30, so on the 12th.
yeah, I'm sure that's what it is as well. Okay, Investment Oversight Committee?
There's no report. We need to put together a meeting, so we'll talk about that. So if you want to send a request out to Mr. Henry and Ms. Aarons and Jean.
And then our youth council, I did run into Ms. Graff at the Rotary meeting. She is working on a report and should be before us at one of the future meetings.
Back on investment, Ms. Aarons and Alex, I guess jointly, can we, I'd like to see, I don't know if the rest of the board would like to as well, but a year-end summary from Morgan Stanley. And then be able to compare that with, side by side with the other investment products that we have at Huntington and other places, as far as what our overall performance was for the township investments and cash assets. If not at the next meeting, at the meeting after that.
I agree with Mr. Chris that that's be a prudent step for us to take. Anything else, Mr. Chris?
No.
Ms. Walls?
No other comments?
And none, so with that, I will entertain a motion to go into executive session under Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22G1 to consider the compensation of a public employee, and also under Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22G2, to consider the purchase of property for public purposes or for the sale of property at competitive bidding if premature disclosure of information would give an unfair competitive or bargaining advantage to a person whose personal private interest is adverse to the general public interest.
So moved?
Second.
Ms. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Kretz?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes. So, 1:45 p.m. All right, it is now 4:53 p.m. Coming out of, do I have a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Kretz?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Ms. Wallace?
Yes.
All right, is there any additional business before the board, Mr. Kretz? I think as outlined per the township administrator's contract, as the conclusion of this meeting, we are to outline the administrator's goals for this year, 2019. And I believe we do have some goals to admit to the record. I will ask for those to be read, please.
All right, the first goal was an HR goal. A, solicit competitive bids for health, dental, and ancillary insurance from at least 3 new providers in addition to the current providers and present to the board prior to the anniversary date. B, update personnel manual and present to the board by 7/31/2019. C, HR director to provide evidence of employee reviews being completed per established policy via quarterly report to the board, and township administrator to provide board with copies of completed evaluations, reviews for department heads, for department heads. Number 2, zoning. Develop a trend.
We should vote.
One-
Oh,
Should be a
Yeah,
motion.
one point of, so each one of the goals will be made
Form of a motion.
in the form of a motion.
Got it. So I move about the 3 HR goals that I just stated.
Second.
Mr. Kretz?
Yes.
Ms. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Number 2, I move that we have a zoning goal.
Goal number 2.
Establish
Goal number 2, establish goal number 2, to develop a transition plan for current zoning administrator that includes an updated job description and a timeline for current zoning administrator, and submit to the board by first meeting in April.
Second.
Mr. Kretz?
Yes.
Ms. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Number 3, I move to have goal number 3, to develop a new policy regarding the sale of township-owned land and/or buildings and submit to the board by June 30th, 2019.
Second.
Mr. Kretz?
Yes.
Ms. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
I make a motion to establish goal number 4 for the township administrator regarding building security. So Part A is complete a security assessment with Greene County Sheriff's Office. Part B is purchase and implement a building access and control system for all township buildings, including the admin building, fire stations, road department, and 1981 Dayton Xenia Road. And Part C, provide recommendations to the board regarding annual custodian and minor repairs and maintenance, insourcing versus outsourcing options.
Second.
Mr. Kretz?
Yes.
Ms. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Make a motion to establish goal number 5 for the township administrator for 2019 with the following fire objectives. Objective A is develop a fire levy justification plan. Part B is finalize the 10-year fire department funding plan by March 31st, 2019. Part C is develop a community outreach and education plan related to the levy. Part D is ensure on-time filing and compliance for a November 2019 ballot as it relates to the fire levy. And Part E, provide an analysis to the board by September 2019 comparing insourcing versus outsourcing costs of compliance and accreditation expenses.
Second.
Mr. Kretz?
Yes.
Ms. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes. See those goals adopted. Is there any, if there is no other business to come before the board today, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Kretz?
Yes.
Ms. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes, at 4:58 PM.